Adventureland is an independent, family-owned amusement park situated in Altoona, Iowa, just outside of Des Moines. During my latest Midwest coaster trip, I had the opportunity to attend the park, even though it is absolutely one of those parks that I just did not see myself getting to anytime soon. But I'm super glad I was able to check it out because I walked away a pretty big fan of the place. Adventureland is quirky, it's got charm, and it's got classic atmosphere, but most importantly, it has roller coasters. 6 of them, to be exact, and what's cool about this park is that it's without question one of the fastest growing amusement parks in North America. Since 2016, they have doubled their roller coaster lineup by adding Monster, Dragon Slayer, and Phoenix after originally just having their 3 wooden coasters, Tornado, Outlaw, and Underground. In today's video, I will be taking all 6 of these coasters and will be ranking them up from worst to best. Do know before we dive in that this is all my personal opinion and that you guys should totally like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to show your support. But enough of that, I hope you guys enjoy the video. These are my top 6 roller coasters at Adventureland in Iowa. Number 6, Underground. Words cannot describe how bizarre this ride is. To an extent, it's hard to even think of it as a roller coaster because the only thing making it such is a tiny little drop towards the end of the ride. The rest of it is dark ride with pretty quirky theming that's hard to even appreciate because of how fast you're going through tight turns. Somehow, this is also a CCI or Custom Coasters International wooden coaster also, which you would not expect when you hear about the type of ride that this is. But don't pass up on a ride on Underground, not because it's really all too good, but because it's a strange and unique coaster credit. Number 5, Phoenix. At first glance, Phoenix isn't a very special roller coaster, and who am I kidding, it's really not. But despite it being the common Mauer spinning coaster, this one does start spinning as soon as you crest over the lift hill. Typically, these rides only start spinning once you get to the first mid-course brake run, so this is pretty unusual. But does this actually matter? And by that I mean, does the ride spin enough to where it differentiates the ride experience from other rides of its kind? Well, maybe. It personally didn't for me, but knowing this style of ride, if you catch it off balance, maybe it's really fun and spinny. Hey, I'd be curious to any of you watching, if you've ridden Phoenix at Adventureland and got a super spinny ride on it, feel free to comment down below. Number 4, Tornado. Built by PTC and designed by William Cobb, this 1970s wooden coaster should be better taken care of than it actually is. And really, it should just be better than it actually is in general. It's not like it's necessarily super rough unless you're on a wheel seat, which in that case I'd advise you to prepare for your funeral, but it's also not super smooth either. That's not even close to it though. When you're waiting in the queue line and look around, or even if you're just checking out the support structure and track, so much paint is ripping off and it just does not look very well taken care of at all. This is not even the worst thing about the ride. The worst part is that the layout is stupid. The whole thing consists of these camelback hills that are taken so slowly that you feel like you're gonna valley every time. I mean, take a good look at this first large hill and how it sort of levels out at the top. That makes this coaster void of any airtime, which is a big shame considering it has buzz bar restraints. Tornado, in my opinion, is a sorry excuse for a relatively large classic wooden roller coaster. Definitely did not walk away a big fan of this one. Number 3, Outlaw. The park's second wooden roller coaster after Tornado turned out to be a much better ride in my opinion. And as with Underground, this one was also manufactured by CCI or Custom Coasters International. This is a much more traditional layout though, and get this, it was designed by the same guy who split off from CCI to form Great Coasters International. And it's actually pretty evident when you take into account the little bunny hills before the lift hill, the swooping right-hand drop, and the rise into the first turn following the drop. All of these elements are pretty reminiscent of what you see on GCIs. So for those of you who want to look at Outlaw as kind of a prototype GCI, I'd say they actually did a decent job because I'll take this coaster over Wildcat at Hershey Park and Roar at Six Flags America, which were the first 2 real GCIs. That said, aside from a couple solid airtime moments and some moments of laterals, Outlaw isn't too memorable. But it is worth a ride or two when you get to Adventureland simply for its fun, speedy layout. At the end of the day, you can't be asking for too much from a wooden coaster. Number 2, Dragon Slayer. You know, SNS 40 free spin coasters get their fair share of hate in the world of roller coasters, but ladies and gentlemen, this should not be the case for Dragon Slayer. In all honesty, my first look at the crazy amount of flips shocked my expectations. And by a far and wide distance, Dragon Slayer turned out to be my favorite SNS 40 free spin. Now don't get me wrong, it is a short ride. Matter of fact, it's an even smaller footprint than the heavily cloned free spins. But if a smaller layout is the price you've got to pay in order to flip a dozen or so times in your ride, so be it. What a chaotic and fantastic ride this was. Something I never thought I'd say about any free spin with the exception of maybe Arashi overseas. Number 1, Monster. This very ride is the reason roller coaster enthusiasts make their way to Adventureland. It is, in my opinion, the best Gerstlauer roller coaster in North America for a plethora of reasons. To put it short, Monster does everything I could ever want one of their rides to do, as it's got an immaculate world-class first drop, tons of inversions with bunches of airtime and laterals, and even some positive G's in the valleys. And the best part is that you can enjoy all these elements with just a lap bar. Also, this ride is beautiful and works perfect in the park's lineup in my opinion. For me, Monster earns a spot in my overall top 50 list and is one of the most purely enjoyable roller coasters I've ever had the pleasure of riding. So if you guys haven't already, I would highly encourage you to make the trek out to Adventureland in Iowa to experience this wonderful roller coaster. So there we have it, my top 6 roller coasters at Adventureland in Des Moines. Without any consideration, I would definitely recommend a visit to this underrated amusement park, especially for its signature coaster Monster. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.